Back in like 2013, when I completely changed my life, I was an infantry officer, tried to buy my first house, our first house, and the banks wouldn't lend me the money. I realized that I wasn't getting the money because I hadn't done the things prior to asking for the loan that I needed to do. So all the information that I had was bad. The bottom line is I basically used that rejection from the bank as a wake-up moment to do everything in life differently. And I started back then in 2013. I went into the gym and I started training differently and just mixing everything up in my life. And by mixing everything up in my life, I started getting different results. I started reading different books. I started being exposed to different information about success, personal development. And then I would even go into the gym and do all the exercises that I normally did completely different. And by shaking things up physically for me, it had a ripple effect in all the other areas of my life. I started seeing the world differently. And the byproduct of that was by approaching fitness differently as a start. 18 months later from that rejection of that house, I bought our first place. And fast forward a year or so after that, maybe 2 years, I ended up selling that house and made 80 grand profit off of it. So my life upgrade in finance started with changing my approach in the gym. It started by mixing it all up and treating my entire life differently, and I got different results. The process for getting down to 9% body fat was actually really tough because the first thing that I had to overcome was the belief that I could do it. You know, I've been a fit person most of my life, athletically, right? But I didn't always eat the best, have the best eating habits. And if I wanted to get in shape, I just worked harder and cut out the main things that were holding me back in my diet, but I never got granular into the macronutrients, and I never weighed out my food. First thing is that I had to cast a vision for success. What was the goal? What was the vision? And that was to be underneath 9%. Not to be 9.2, 9.8, it was to be underneath 9%. That was the vision. So I casted the vision. There's 4 transformational areas to life. There's the comfort zone, the terror barrier, the pain cave, the potential barrier, and then freedom. And so I had to go through all the 4 transformational areas to get to freedom. I had to get out of my comfort zone and do things differently with my nutrition, which meant that I got on a macro plan. And then I had to embrace the terror barrier, which was letting people know that I was gonna get underneath 9% body fat. I told people, told everybody. And then I had to do the work. I had to do daily consistent action, abide by my macros. I had to measure my food every single day. I had to follow the plan. I had to cut out bad habits like night eating, snacking. The whole goal was to train my way to underneath 9% body fat. It was to basically eat right and eat clean all the way down to underneath 9% body fat. Thanks, bro. Hey, bro. Thanks, man. Good, dude. My goal was to get down to 9% body fat by my birthday in 30 days, which was aggressive. I didn't know it was aggressive. I thought that I was gonna be able to do it, and obviously I failed.
Starting your in-body test.
I mean, really the plan is to keep on this track. More muscle, less fat. I did something wrong this morning. I know I did something wrong.
Did you change anything on diet?
I'm just doing the same.
So water weight's down, body fat's slightly up.
Yep.
We're talking about half pound.
Fuck. All right. I gotta bring the carbs down. Fuck. It's all right. No big deal. That's why we're doing this.
Yep. It's part of the journey. It's up. You get ups and downs, highs and lows.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I'll bring the carbs down a little bit. I think the issue is that the week that I weighed in last time, I was hit more cardio throughout the week, and this last couple weeks I wasn't doing as much cardio, but the diet stayed the same.
The cardio was putting you in the deficit they needed to do.
Yeah.
The most important thing is you're able to identify where the issue was. So,
Yeah.
So just make that adjustment.
Yeah.
The next check-in will be down.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. I'm gonna get down to 9-0. Well, there you go. You got to see me fucking fail at something.
It's all right.
So I made a small adjustment, and I actually went the other direction versus stayed on track.
So where you at now?
I'm at 10.3. So I have 1.3 to lose, 1.3%. 2 pounds of fat. Of fat though, not of anything else.
Based on your track record,
Yeah.
you're able to drop 2 pounds a day.
Yeah.
Like, I remember earlier,
Yeah.
you literally dropped like 2-3 pounds like 4 hours.
I'll do this again next week. I'll pick up the cardio, sustain the diet. The goal is to not do a crash diet or to train my way to the weight loss. You know, I've done that before. I want to just try to do this by all just nutrition and discipline.
That's all it is, because what's going to end up happening if you go that route,
Yeah.
as soon as you get off, you rebound.
Yeah, exactly. I was pissed when I bounced back up to 10.3. But I learned my lesson. You know, I celebrated internally that I was on track. And when you celebrate early, you always get complacent. The reason I didn't keep going back down is because I got overconfident in my plan and I started cutting corners. And because I was losing weight and the scale was going down, I got it in my head that little snacks like more fruit, an extra rice cake, these little tiny decisions, that they were acceptable, and they weren't. So I got an expert in my life to like not guess my way to success. He told me, these are your macros, this is what you need to do, and I followed the plan. Now, I had the perfect plan, and there were times when I ran it imperfectly. I had like issues with that plan. I didn't want to do the plan. I was like, I train too much. I work out too hard. I train MMA and I lift weights and I run. This isn't enough food for me. I was arguing with the expert, and he was like, in my head, right? I didn't actually say these things to him, but I was thinking it right out the gate. But I'm a good student, so I shut up and I listened, I did the plan. When I hit success, it was about a month after that failure. And the biggest thing that I had to overcome during that month window was, one, the cutting corners that I was doing during the day. And then number two was the night snacking, so snacking after dinner, and then sleep eating. Sleep eating was one that was like very, very difficult to control. And the night snacking was very difficult to control. So I have this issue. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be in this drunken haze where I'm just in the refrigerator or the cabinet and I'll eat food. And I'm like consciously aware that I'm doing it, but my self-control is like absent. And it's a huge problem. I didn't realize how big of a problem it was because I've dealt with it my whole life and I've never made the commitment to get underneath 9% body fat. But when I made the commitment to get underneath 9% body fat, next thing you know, I have this habit that I'm having a really, really hard time breaking, which is sleep eating. So I would be really disciplined throughout the entire day, and then at night, I'd wake up 10, 11 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and I would be in the refrigerator or in the cabinet grabbing like an extra rice cake or fruit. And I was basically self-sabotaging. The thing that helped me overcome the night snacking was my self-talk. I had to get very, very aggressive with my positive self-talk at night. I had to give myself a command not to do the night snacking in the moment when I wanted to do it. So imagine it's after dinner, you've already had one rice cake, and you put some jam on it. It was and some honey, super sweet, delicious, and you did it with like, it was one of those cheddar rice cakes, so it had some like saltiness to it. So you bite into that thing and it's really good. You eat the whole thing, you're like, man, that was good. I met my macros, I feel good. You know what? Let me just go ahead and have one more. And you do it again. And then you do it maybe one more time. And in that moment, you're like, don't do it again. Don't do it again. Don't eat another rice cake. And you're battling with yourself. So in that moment, what I had to do was I had to give myself a command. Say, bro, don't fucking touch the rice cake. Do not fucking touch the rice cake. No. I'm serious. That's how I was talking to myself in my head. I told my wife too. And I was like, I just gave myself, that's positive self-talk. Giving yourself a command like that is positive self-talk because it points you in a positive direction. And I just commanded myself like you would a dog. And that pulled me off of it. And it worked. You know, and I've done that with a lot of things in my life. Fitness, relationship stuff, business. Give myself a command and follow it. The gym didn't actually help me get underneath 9% body fat. I work out 2 to 3 times a day throughout the year. You know, it just kind of depends on the season that I'm in. My work effort didn't change to get underneath 9% body fat. I actually trained less and got underneath 9% body fat. When I'm in a hard training season, I'll do weightlifting, I'll do cardio, and then I'll do mixed martial arts. But during this cut, I was working out 1 or 2 times a day, not 3 or 4. So it was all nutrition and discipline for this cut. So I worked out 7 days a week, but they were light workouts. They weren't like super intense. They were just, you know, weight training. It was like a push day, a pull day, chest and tris. I would do back and bis. I would do legs. I would do abs. And I would just repeat that for 7 days. Well, when I hit 8.6% body fat, I was excited because I knew I was on track, but I didn't know I was underneath 9%. So the thing that went through my head at the time was excitement because I had achieved the goal early. I actually thought that it was gonna take longer. And then the other thing that went through my head was, for some reason, I thought that there was people against me inside of my head, so I said fuck you to everybody that doubted me. And if you watch the video, I start flipping the scale off and I'm like, fuck you, fuck you. And the reason why is because I felt like I was against the scale and I was against everybody that was doubting whether or not I was gonna actually hit the goal. When I set a goal, I write it down every day. And I don't stop writing it down until I hit it. I'm persistent. And I use what I teach my clients, the daily action plan. So I write it down every single day until I hit that motherfucker. And then once I hit it, it comes off the paper. So when I weighed in at 8.6% body fat, I was relieved that I could stop writing the fucking goal down every single day and I could move on to other ones. Yeah, my goal now is, and I do this with all goals. So every time I set a goal, my process is to set the goal, hit the goal, and then let that be the standard. So my personal standard now is to stay underneath 10% body fat. And there's a little bit of wiggle room and some exceptions in there and stuff like that. But I don't want to ever see myself go back up to 15%. My standard, my ceiling is 10% and my floor is 8%. So I want to stay in that zone all the time. And what I'm doing now is basically just adjusting. I'm staying on the macro plan and then I'm finding ways to build in the lifestyle foods that I want to have on occasion and still meet that intent. I mean, the reason I put importance on health and fitness is because it's a tool for me to fight complacency. In life, you have what's called the complacency quicksand. Most people stand on this quicksand and it feels nice and soft, and they stand there for a second, they get comfortable, and they start sinking. Next thing you know, they're buried in the sand and they can't get out. So fitness for me is a way for me to fight the complacency quicksand. If I will constantly challenge myself with my physical body, I can watch my results change. I can watch my body fat go down. In jiu-jitsu, I can see myself getting different belts. In MMA, I see I see fights. When I see changes in my physical life, I know that I'm fighting complacency, which is what I'm really fighting, which is going to carry over to business. It's going to carry over to my relationships. It's going to carry over to my romance. It's going to carry over to my fun. Not only that, but it shows my clients that the process works. You know, when I set a goal and then I accomplish it real time with them, which I do over and over and over again. I've always done this. And I show them how our program works. I teach them how to use the mental Gerber to think your way to your goal. I teach them the 4x4 plan. I teach them the Solven line of decisions. I teach them the 4 transformational areas. I teach them how to build their personal task force. Every single lesson that I teach them is designed to not just inform them, but then show them how to change their life. My students, most of them are in the gym. Every single one of my students started messaging me, telling me, bro, we feel your movement. We feel where you're going. They all picked it up in their businesses, in their fitness, and they're all trying to keep up because they saw my example. So the fitness goal was about way more than just fitness. It was about showing our students the process for goal setting and achievement and getting everything that you want in life. My next goal is to really just continue to share the knowledge to the people that I'm leading. Like, we launched the Table program, which helps people with fitness, mindset, and discipline. And inside of that program, we teach them all the stuff that helped me get down to underneath 9% body fat and help my wife lose over 60 pounds through those things: discipline, mindset, and nutrition. So my goal with fitness is to share that knowledge with other people and help them get the same results in their life, if not better.